welcome to our virtual webinar that we do one of these every month. We always try to speak with students. It's one of the, I think, most rewarding things that we can do here at the Learning People is to talk to our students that are doing well on various courses and to see how their experiences have been so far and where they're at now. My name is Ben. I'm a senior coding specialist here at Learning People. Have been for about 9 years, which is just time flies when you're having fun, I guess. And what I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about Learning People, just a minute or two, and then kind of why coding and why now. And then Robin in our career team will take a moment to talk through our career service, which is a big part of what we do, because it's not, it's not just about gaining the right skills and qualifications and portfolio and so on. It's about what do I need to do to actually attract the right employers and to get those kinds of roles. To tell you just a little bit about Learning People, we've been around for a little over 12 years now. And in that time, we've become the largest e-learning provider in Europe for so many reasons. But if I could sum it up, I would say that it's because we have a very strong dedication to our students, and in particular, making sure that what they're learning is actually going to get them the kind of jobs that they want. And also great qualifications, great career support. And I would say for these, for most people, they come our way because they're looking for a career change of some sort. And we are probably best described as a career change school. More than 90% of our students, usually at least, they have very little experience in the area they want to move into. And we take people from wherever they are now all the way up to the point they're ready to get their first jobs in the areas they want to work in. And coding is one of the areas that we work in. Each of us here specialize in different areas because the IT industry is so broad. And just to answer those two quite common questions, why coding and why now? Well, why coding is quite an easy one to answer, because pretty much anything you want for your life, your future, your career, you could probably have if you learn to code, because coders enjoy a lot of flexibility in the way they work, where they work from, the hours they work. I don't know any coders, well established, that are unhappy with earning potential or career progression. So my point is, whatever you want your future and your career and your work-life balance to look like, learning to code is probably one of the smartest things that you can do today. And why now? Well, look, coding has always been a good thing to get into for many, many reasons, but now specifically, we're seeing a huge demand for code. I mean, demand for coders increases every year massively. But in the last couple of years since COVID started, we've seen demand almost double. And the reasons for that is just because companies all around the world, they're scrambling to try and survive the kind of oncoming recession and the challenges that COVID has brought on for us. And having better internal technology, a better website, all these sorts of things are a great way to continue trading and to continue doing good business. So that's why the demand for coders just seems to go up and up all the time. So that's us and coding and why now coding. And over to Robin to tell us a little bit about career services, and then we'll jump in with Anna and Ricardo.
Thank you, Ben. I'm one of the career services consultants in Learning People. I'm based in Dublin, in our Dublin office. Before I joined Learning People, I have a background of recruiting for software developers in Dublin for about 2.5 years, which definitely means that I might have a particular preference to our coding students. But what we do, our purpose as career services, it's all about supporting you guys to help you to become job ready, to be able to navigate the job market and navigate that career change. So with our recruitment expertise, we know exactly what you need to do in terms of presenting yourself to the market, how to catch the attention of recruiters and employers and effectively land in that role of choice, right? Whether you want to be a front-end developer or you feel more full stack, or maybe you're more back-end, we tailor a program specific to you to reach that goal. So we've designed a 3-phase process that we guide students through to facilitate that. So phase 1, it's all about building your professional brand, right? Putting the foundation blocks together of you looking like a credible software engineer candidate. So once you've done 2 projects, that's when we start this process, right? Because you've got something to showcase to the market. So we'll give you guidance and ebook guide resources on how to research the industry to understand what you want, how to effectively create a coding industry specific CV and how to present yourself on LinkedIn in that same manner. You go through a back and forth review consultation process until you reach the industry standard. So we will not allow you to go to market with a subpar CV or LinkedIn profile. Phase 2 is all about getting yourself out there in the industry. So we put a big focus on networking. So reaching out to coders and learning from them and building these relationships. If you're joining into a totally new career, you're going to need contacts, but the more you speak to these people, the more you can further develop yourself. You can do this. This can help you with your projects, and it can also help you hear about opportunities before they're advertised. We also help you to structure a targeted plan as to how you're approaching the job market, because too often people rely on just sending your CV on the job boards, but we know that these job boards only represent 30% of available opportunities. So it will likely take you a lot longer to get a job if you use just that method. So we'll help you utilize multiple methods for your best success. Our phase 3 process is all about interviewing. So we can do really intensive interview prep calls, mock interviews. We have the knowledge and the understanding from being at the other side of the fence to know what you're going to come up against in interviews, how those coding and those technical challenges, which can be really, really scary, but at least with our knowledge, you've got the insight before you embark on that. And we support you through the job offer process. Essentially, you get tailored and impartial support on anything that falls under the careers umbrella, all the way up until you land that dream role. That's us in a nutshell, Ben, I think.
That's perfect. Well said. Let's jump in with the main attraction here is to talk with our students. Like I said, this is always something that I love doing every single month, is to talk with our students and to see where they're at. And I think we're going to start, this is a first time for us as well. We're actually going to have a couple of our existing students show one of their projects that they've been working on. So Anna, did you have something there that you'd like to show us? And then we'll do Rick, and then we'll ask you guys some questions about your experience.
Yeah, so I will share a screen to a website that I recently rebuilt for my first freelance client, which I figured was something definitely worth sharing, because if you spoke to me this time last year, it was like, HTML's like that thing at the bottom of the emails where it's like, well, you can't see this, it's an HTML, right? And a year later, I have already been paid for work, which is a pretty big thing, I figure.
That's brilliant that you're already starting to attract work. How far through the course are you at this point?
I'm currently just finishing off my milestone 4 project, so I'm coming towards the very end of the course. Okay. But this particular website, which I hopefully I'm sharing now with you,
we can see that
through WordPress. So it doesn't, WordPress utilizes mostly PHP, which is a language that isn't really covered by Code Institute. But through what you learn with Code Institute, it gives you the ability to then take on new languages and dabble into things that you didn't think you could do before. So this
what is this website? Is this for a museum or something?
Yes, so I come from most recently the heritage sector. So this was a friend of a friend contact, and this is the Anglo-Saxon Society for England, and they're a historic society which want to promote the knowledge of Anglo-Saxon history. So it's quite in depth, and I had to learn Old English as well to be able to.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, to work on this. So so yeah, it was very interesting.
So it's kind of like a historical database.
Yes.
Of, like different events and things.
Yeah, so they've got calendars of like what happened through each day through history, so January, February, March, and they're using it to try and improve their presence on social media. But this website, prior to me working on it, hadn't had anybody look at it for about a decade.
Wow.
So it's taken a big jump forward. And we're actually planning a phase 2 of adding in metadata and better form connectivity for the members to be able to use the website properly in the coming year.
Great. I mean, it looks great. Clean, simple.
It
Good
looks
to
like a
know.
website.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
so
Perfect. How long did it take you to put some of that stuff together?
So this has been quite a nice, gentle project. It was a really good starter project, actually. So I started in May and it fully launched in the end of September.
It's fantastic. Well done. Okay, well, if you'd like to stop sharing your screen there, we'll let Rick show one of his, and then I'll talk with you guys a little bit about your experiences with us and the Code Institute so far. So, Rick,
everyone.
what do you have for us?
I'll just show you my first project with the Code Institute. Please let me know when you can see the screen there.
We can see the screen.
Okay, so as part of the first project with the Code Institute, they asked us to create a static website using just the two languages, HTML and CSS.
Yeah.
And they gave us some examples of what we could do, that they'd provide you with a list of some options that we could do. But being a motorbike enthusiast, I wanted to do something that I enjoyed, something that I could relate to. And
is this
so
your bike?
Sorry?
Is this your bike?
No, I wish. I wish. The scenery too. No, this is just an image that we can extract from a certain website, which has free use without any payments involved. And so this website is just basically about motorbike enthusiasts being able to come on board, register, and join groups of motorbikers on events that that the website would organize. And so this is very, very basic, very first step. Now, a year ago, when someone told me, oh, you'd be creating something like this as a first project, I would not have believed them for one single bit. And
so happy to hear you say that, because so often when we talk with people for the first time, they really doubt themselves and their own abilities and whether or not this is something that they can do. And then for you to create something like this for your first project, I hope it gives you a lot of confidence in the fact that you can do this and that you're going to learn lots more as well.
Absolutely. And this was done 2 months into the project, into the course. So after 2 months, I had created a static website, which is functional and usable for individuals to come on board and register and use.
That's fantastic.
I've also showed it around to other people that I know not in coding, and they've looked at it and thought, fantastic, it's a brilliant website. It looks like a professional website.
Yeah, it does. So, well done for that. That really looks like. How long did it take you to build this?
This took about 5 weeks. A lot of pulling hairs out and a lot of frustration. But the great thing about being on the course with Code Institute is that we have a lot of support. We have support via 3 channels, where we have the tutor support, which is an online tutor. And we have the Slack community, which are our fellow coders who can also help us out. And we also have our mentoring sessions. So for each project, we're entitled to 3 sessions with our mentor, one at the beginning to introduce the idea and provide some displays, layouts, wireframes. The middle, the second session would be just to catch up and to understand how we're progressing. And then the final session is towards the end, before the deadline to hand in the project. They just go through the code and make sure that everything is presentable in a satisfactory way.
Fantastic. Well done. That looks great. A great first project. Okay, so let's go back to Anna then. I'll ask you guys questions just one at a time. So Anna, how has your experience so far been with us and the Code Institute? Is there any kind of standout sort of things or highlights for you?
So really, really positive, because my biggest fear with it is like, it's distance learning. It's a subject that I had no clue realistically what I was letting myself in for. And I was like, is this really going to work? And actually, there's a lot of people that you can talk to and contact. There's a lot more support than you might initially think about taking on something with distance learning. Code Institute are amazing, and the tutors and student support there are fantastic. Learning people have been in touch over the course of the year, just checking up, making sure that I'm kind of still on track and everything's still going okay. And you feel like you're not just randomly off on your own doing something. So yeah, it's been really, really good. And I would definitely recommend it to other people.
Perfect. And Rick, would you add anything to that? Any kind of standout highlights for you? Anything worth note?
I think it's just to emulate again what Anna's just mentioned. You're not left alone. You're not abandoned. That there are professionals in the background who accompany the course throughout the course of the projects. Just yesterday, I'd submitted my third project, and on the very same day, a student care team member called me and asked how I was doing, how I was feeling about handing in the project, and how I was feeling about the entire course. So you're not left alone, you're not abandoned.
It's really nice. I'm really glad to hear you both say that, because I know when I talk to people for the first time, that's often one of their biggest concerns, is doing an online course. How well supported is it really going to be? Unfortunately, lots of stuff out there doesn't, I think, have the appropriate level of support for learning these kinds of skills, distance learning anyway. So yeah, it's really great to hear you both say that, because I know in conjunction with the Code Institute, that was one of our main goals, was to make sure, first and foremost, the students are getting the right kind of support through this. So that's really lovely to hear. Okay, so next question for Rick, we'll start with this time. What would you say you've learned so far on the course? Like I guess big skills or technologies or anything that you've learned so far, if you could sum that up?
Yeah, it's the course is so intensive that you learn so much about so many different languages in one go. It is quite a lot of information. But it's also going back to the beginning, where you start doubting yourself, but at the same time, when you go through the modules and you do the projects and you submit them, and you look back to the first project that you submitted and you think, wow, I actually did it, and I doubted myself, but I did it. So for me, starting off with the very basics of HTML and CSS, and then moving on to JavaScript project, which I did a game, a rock, scissors, paper game, and then moving on to my third project just submitted yesterday, which was Python. You start to understand a little bit about what you're going to enjoy moving forward. To me, JavaScript was quite difficult to grasp and understand.
It's a learning curve for most, for sure.
But I really enjoyed Python, and that's when I started thinking, hang on a minute, then this is potentially where I might specialize in moving forward. Great.
I mean, Python, great coding language to learn for sure. I mean, I also find Python just easier to understand, but it's used in so many different areas. It's used in cybersecurity, it's used in robotics, artificial intelligence, data science. I mean, you name it, you could probably build it using Python. And for that reason, it's just so versatile and so popular. Okay, and Anna, is there any kind of standout skills that you've learned? Obviously, you mentioned a year ago you didn't know what HTML is.
Yeah, basically it was like I had pretty much no clue, but I wanted to try something so completely different and outside of my normal wheelhouse. So I still love the fact that my first project, I made a static website, and it's still like my favorite thing. And I really get along well with Java, CSS, so JavaScript. I wanted to blow my brains out. Honestly, that's such a steep learning curve. And you come in and you do HTML and CSS, and you're like, wow, I can do this. And then they give you JavaScript. But if you can crack JavaScript, then Python just comes so much more naturally afterwards. Yeah. But yeah, my second milestone project, I wanted to cry, but I made it and it works.
Good. Just for anybody in the audience that doesn't know, JavaScript is a really important coding language to learn to go along with front-end web development, because it's the components that can kind of breathe life into a website and make it look and feel just like a real professional website. It's something you have to learn, but it's always quite a steep learning curve for most, at least. I don't think I've known many people that just seem to sail through it. It just takes a lot of practice and a lot of mistakes, basically, along the way. Okay, Anna, what is it that you do at the moment? You mentioned you're doing freelance work. Is that your kind of main thing?
So at the moment, I'm currently holding down 3 jobs and studying at the same time, because I just like to keep myself on my toes. Yeah. So I come from a very varied background, but mostly customer face-to-face. So I'm currently working for Sofology, selling sofas part-time, which I'm still really enjoying. Okay. I'm freelancing with the WordPress websites, just kind of getting to grips with how to freelance to start with. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also running an online shop for a brewery as well, and working. So I used to work for the brewery many years ago, and they were struggling with COVID, and they used to just do sales to pubs. And through COVID, they've had to diversify into domestic sales, which has meant they've now got a website where they can sell things, but their technical skills are limited. So I've come on board and we're now selling online.
Fantastic. And Rick, what's your situation at the moment? I'm assuming you're still working while doing this?
No, unfortunately, I'm full-time student, full-time on this course. I came last 10 years, I spent in the oil and gas industry, working in project management. It's such a volatile industry, and we go through so many rounds of redundancies, and this time it affected me. So that was part of the decision that I had to move towards the coding, the IT sector, and coding more specifically was because I just see that moving forward it would be a little bit more stable than the oil and gas industry.
Great. And Rick, in your case, what was the process like when you first spoke with us? So I'm assuming you maybe Googled coding courses or something, you came across our website, left an inquiry. What was it like for you after that? What happened directly after that?
Oh, it was a brilliant process. It was a brilliant step, and I wasn't felt rushed in any way when I first got in touch with the learning people. Individuals were just very supportive. They ensured that I had the right information. They also do a 5-day challenge with the Code Institute, and that's a step that everyone should take in order to make sure that you really want to do this moving forward. And so that was a fantastic opportunity for me to try and fully understand and grasp what it was that I was getting myself into. And from the very first day, all I felt was nothing but support from the learning people and Code Institute.
Oh, so sweet. Do you remember who it was you spoke to initially?
Simone Bishop.
Oh, Simone, great.
Yeah.
Okay, and same question to Anna. Would you add anything to the kind of initial stage?
The initial stage was really good. So I was going through the process of being made redundant, but I was working my notice period. And again, there was absolutely no pressure from learning people that I needed to make a decision by a certain point, or that if I didn't do it now, it was going to be in some way wrong, because I had spoken to a couple of other people offering courses, but there was a lot more pressure behind it. And coming from sales, I'm like, I don't like pressure. Thank you very much. I feel like you're up to something. If you're you've got to do it by this time, then
you can always tell. It is unfortunately the case that there are so many sales companies out there, some that are actually good, that provide good courses, but there's a strong emphasis on sales nonetheless. And you can always tell. I do market research on this stuff all the time. Whenever I call one of them to check what they're offering and how they deliver it and so on, they always make me an offer ending Friday. Every time, without fail, there's an offer ending Friday. And I think that should probably tell you what you need to know about that particular
Yeah.
organization. Okay, so I'll ask this question of both of you, but Anna, would you have any advice for anybody watching right now who's considering a career in coding, a career change of any sort?
Career change, do it. Because if you are thinking about changing your career, it means you're not happy in what you're doing. So give something else a chance. I have had a lot of different jobs in my life, and I don't regret any of them. Even the really bad jobs that I've taken, you can always learn something. And coding has been really, really interesting to come into, particularly from a particularly retail-y background, because in sales and retail, everybody's out for themselves. Whereas from what I found with the code, like the tech sector, they're really supportive. So you don't just get support from Learning People and from Code Institute and our own Slack community. There's a whole community out there on the internet who are willing to help. Stack Overflow is amazing, and people just want to help, and they want to help more coders get into it. And yeah,
it's a nice community, isn't it?
And it's very challenging. Don't underestimate that it's not going to be easy, but if something's easy, is it really worth it? So yeah, I'd say go for it.
Great advice. And Rick, would you have any advice to somebody on now that's thinking about it?
Yeah, going back to the 5-day challenge from the Code Institute, it's a free challenge. You just sign up and just do that challenge. Make sure that you fully understand what you're getting yourselves into. It's very enjoyable. The IT sector and coding is it's great fun. And for the creative aspect of people who are quite creative and want to see something develop into a useful product, there's a real rush from that. So I think do as much research as you can from the internet. There's a lot of free stuff out there that will allow you training environments that you can trial and write code for yourself, the basic stuff. This is all of the things that I went through before I signed up to do anything. So tons of information on the internet, tons of platforms to help you understand what it is that coding is all about, and then make the decision. If you're comfortable, go for it. I've not regretted it.
Great advice from both of you. Thank you. I would reiterate as well, if there is anybody here wondering whether or not they're right for a career in coding, there really is only one way to figure that out, and it's to try it. But that's why we have the coding assessments in place, because it gives you an opportunity to have a go at some really good quality training. It's fairly basic and then kind of gets progressively more challenging. And the idea with this is that you exhibit the right kind of behaviors. You know, do you think in a certain way, logically, methodically, and so on? And you know what, it might tell you that actually you're not right for a career in coding, and I still consider that a win, because you know to look at something else for your career change. Anna and Rick, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. We really appreciate that. We do have some questions that have come through from the audience. So look, if anybody on now needs to get back to work or anything, feel free to jump off. I'm going to quickly answer these questions with Robin's help, hopefully, just because when somebody sends in questions, I do like to not ignore them if we can. So Emily sent in, what's the best way to start coding if you don't have any experience? Oh, well, we kind of just covered that. So try some coding, do the code assessment, like get in touch with us. Most of you here have probably already had some contact with us already, but maybe we haven't spoken before, but you'll have emails and so on from us. So get in touch. We can sign you up to the coding assessment. It takes 5 minutes. We have a Biba, and I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, but asking how can you stay motivated, persistent, and what will it take to get a good job as a web developer? I mean, we help in keeping you motivated with lots of contact. A lot of it is going to be that you have to kind of self-motivate yourself. You're going to have to want this for yourself, for sure. But I'd say, like, try and create some kind of routine where whatever work schedule you've got, try and say, right, well, on these days, I'm going to put in these hours, ideally more, but I'm going to stick to this kind of thing. So a little bit of routine, reminders, check in, and talk with other people. You're never alone. In regards to getting a good job, perhaps Robin could answer that.
Yes, I believe I could. So I suppose when it comes down to getting a good job, it's a little bit like what Ricardo said, right? The research is so important. You need to spend a bit of time. We have a rule, at least do 2 projects so that you've got a little bit of experience. Because I think before that, you're in a situation where you don't know what you don't know. So it's really hard to go like, what kind of job am I going to go for, right? You're actually, in my opinion, putting a little bit too much pressure on yourself at that point. So you want to get a little bit of coding experience under your belt through doing your projects, then do research on the different roles that are out there so that you're secure at what you're chasing for reflects your style as a developer, because you're all going to develop in an individual style. And then from there is collect the right keywords and present yourself in line what the market expects of that role that you're interested in, and the rest you can do one-on-one with us at Career Services.
Great, thank you, Robin. We have Joseph has asked, what are the prospects for a 59-year-old in coding, i.e. can coding be a hobby? So it's kind of 2 questions there. So can coding be a hobby? Yes, it can be, but in my experience, you can do it for fun and dabble and so on. But in my experience, I don't think you're going to get really, really good at it if you're not putting in the proper time and effort to really learn it well. And also, people don't tend to put in the proper time and effort if there's not a goal at the end, there's not a payoff at the end, like a good job or whatever it might be that you've set for yourself. So yes, it can be a hobby, but probably not. And in regards to a 59-year-old, well, I mean, Robin, you can probably answer that.
Yeah, I was there. We both tackled this one quite a bit, Ben. So they're going, who's going to go first? Honestly, age is not important. It really is not. It's aptitude, it's ability, it's how you are as a person and how you are. If you're interested in the code and you have the ability to, like I've said this so many times, right? When you're coding, you are required to do really creative and effective problem solving. Your job as a problem solver, it involves code, but if you are that little bit older, let's say you're older than me, right? You probably have more experiences, therefore, that you can draw on in doing your effective problem solving. So in things like coding, being a little bit older, actually a little bit more fitting, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. And we've got Jimmy, who's asked a really long question. I think it's 2 questions though. So look, the first part is, how much time do or should I need to commit each week to keep up? So look, there's different course paths if somebody is just working 40 hours a week plus and can't put in that much time, then we have some other options. But as a general rule, we advise that you keep up with at least 12 to 15 hours a week. That's like kind of ideal. But more than that, so it's like that would be like a minimum, sorry, it's the 12 to 15 hours a week, but ideally more than that, so that you can't put in too much. If you've got the time, great, put it in. And the second part of his question is, what is the current outlook on being able to land a permanent job by the end, and how you are preparing for interviews and building a network? So I think you've kind of covered that already. Like a bit, there's so much support around it, like there's so much support every step of the way from you guys. And
it's carved out before you even get there, that process is carved out for you, so you almost don't need to worry about it. Sorry to cut across you, Ben.
No, but and you stay with them until they get it, right? Like we'll continue working with people.
Yeah, like that's how confident we are that you can and will get a job. And plenty students get a job before they finish their course. Some people like to wait until they've finished the course before they come to us at Career Services. So we work around your circumstances and we support you till you land the job.
So look, guys, that is all we have time for. Malcolm and Mike, I can see that you guys have had your hands up. Please do get in contact with us. You've probably had some, like I say, interaction with us already. Just get in touch, whether it's an email or a phone call, even a text message. There's lots of ways that you can contact us and we can answer any questions that you might have. But that goes out to everybody. Like I say, if you're in any way thinking about a new career, particularly in tech and in coding, then talk with us. We can talk you through exactly how it might look and work for you and whether it's going to be right for you in the first place. A big thank you again to Anna and Rick for spending some time with us today. We really do appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much and well done on what you've achieved so far. We will be watching you intently. to see how you get on moving forward. And thank you to Robin as well for spending some time with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Please do get in touch, guys. We're always happy to talk. You can contact me directly if you wish well, you can find me on the website, or if I've contacted you already. But like I say, you've had some contact with us already, to get in touch, or if you need to, you can go directly to the website and put in another inquiry. But thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you guys soon. Take care. See you later.